Have you ever waited in line at a convention and weren't sure what you are exactly waiting for?
You might be a con junkie.
Sit back, relax, grab a drink. Join us for the conversation.
Hi, welcome to our channel. We are the CONJunkies, and our mission is to unite fans, empower creators and vendors, and transform organizers' visions into legendary legacy. Before we get started, remember to like, comment, and subscribe so you can get all the updates and be part of our conversation. Just to give you a little bit of information about ourselves, we're three like-minded Gen Xers that have come together because we share the same love for fandom. Join us while we share our origin stories with you. Craig, can you give us a little bit of your background and your Comic-Con journey?
Sure, thanks, Erica. So I'm a comic book junkie. Like Erica said, we're of the Gen X generation. I've been reading and collecting comic books since I was about 6. I continue to do so today. My journey began back in the late 90s. My girlfriend, now my wife, took me to my very first Star Trek convention. I was in a hotel in New Jersey run by Creation, if you're familiar with them. We had a great time. We continued to go back every time they were in the area. After that, it sort of petered out. We were invited to one of the early editions of Mike Carbo's Big Apple con in New York City at the Penn Hotel. There I met my absolute crush, Carrie Fisher. Again, things kind of, mellowed out back in 2011 when I started collecting comic books again. I was at my local shop in Manhattan, Midtown Comics. Shout out to you. They were selling badges to New York Comic Con. So I'm like, all right, I can just buy a badge here. Let's do it. I bought a badge, 4-day pass, probably less than $100. And just, let the clock tick out until October came around. Went to my very first New York Comic Con. And man, when they opened those doors and everybody was running into the show floor, I lost my bleep. And I think we've all had that moment.
For sure.
And it's just exploded ever since, so, back a regular attendee, as we all are for New York City, and then expanded. We started going out to a lot of other local shows. So here, if you can't tell, we're New Yorkers. There's a lot of shows here in the tri-state area. So some of the shows that we've been to, or at least I've been to, and you've been to as well, CradleCon, WinterCon, there's a lot of cons, Eternal Con, Big Apple, of course, and then just like here or there, a lot of like one-day, shows. A new show, Terrific Con, not so new. And of course, our absolute all-time favorite, Rhode Island Comic Con. So always looking for a new show. So if you've got any ideas out there, or any shows that I probably haven't mentioned, and there are certainly a couple that I haven't, drop a comment in the chat there, and we'll take a look. Ray, why don't you tell us about your con origin story?
Thanks, Craig, and thanks, Erica. Erica and I are married, so our origin story is a little bit similar. I am a Gen Xer, like everybody said. I grew up on as a kid with Star Wars. Star Wars was huge for me. Similar to Craig. Craig and I worked together. I remember that whole Midtown. I picked up tickets at Midtown Comics, blah, blah, blah. And we both went to New York Comic Con together. And as he mentioned, it just blew my mind. I was completely overwhelmed. I was super overwhelmed. I just freaked out. I did not know. I'm like, oh my God. I just totally freaking went on full meltdown. Um, but I've always been into you know, geekdom, nerddom. Had nostalgia for things from when I was a kid. You know, I was unfortunate when I was a kid. There's a lot of things that I didn't have. There weren't a lot of toys or comic books that I didn't have. I had a few things, but not much. Um, so becoming an adult and now having that disposable income, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make up for what I didn't do or wasn't able to do as a kid. And you know, Craig talked about Midtown Comics when Craig and I met at a job that we both had together. It was a tech job. Um, you know, we hit it off, even though the us hitting it off was weird for anybody who was watching on the sidelines. Um, but we were both like-minded people, and you know, I started going to Midtown Comics, which was pretty bad because I started spending probably way too much money. Um, and you know, we started going to conventions like Craig mentioned. Uh, Eric and I found Rhode Island Comic Con 1 year before Craig and his wife, and we told them about it, and they started going as well. The following year, we went. We were there 1 year before them, and it just become a staple for us. New York Comic Con, Rhode Island Comic Con, and the conventions that Craig mentions are ones that we try to go to, like Big Apple, Terrific Con, and some others that we'll cover here. Um, but it's just been amazing. It's been a lot of fun. You know, you meet other people that are like-minded people that are into what you're into, and it's just a blast. 1 year, uh, Erica mentioned that Lauren Cohen was going to be at Atlanta, and I said, "Let's get flights and go to Atlanta." Why did that happen for me? Because I've always wanted to meet her, and I wanted to get her autograph and so on. And she didn't show up much, so we did it. But I'll pass it over to Erica. Erica, tell us about your con experience, your origin story.
So, like every good comic book character, there's an origin story. So my origin story is Gen X. Growing up in the 80s, all of the cartoons that I saw were like He-Man and She-Ra and, you know, G.I. Joe. And a lot of things were, you know, girls shouldn't be playing with sort of things. And my brothers never let me play with their He-Man toys and that sort of thing. So when I got older, I got my own. So I have my own. So in 2012, I had been wanting to go to Comic-Con for a long, long time, and my job wouldn't allow me the time to be able to go and attend Comic-Con. So the first year that we were able to go was in 2012. And just like Craig and Ray said, it was overwhelming. And it's a huge, huge space, and there's a lot of things happening all at the same time. And figuring out how to maneuver that show was a challenge, and I think we finally got something down. We now,
Yeah.
as a crew, we all go together to Rhode Island. We go to Terrificon together on New York Comic Con, and during conventions, you meet a lot of people who are very similar in, like, you know, similar to you in terms of what you like, and you know, you have a lot of similarities, and there's an appreciation, and there's a overwhelming amount of acceptance and love for one another, in the sense that everybody's very respectful and kind and encouraging. And so you know, I have now a whole nother family, and Craig and his wife are a part of that, um, that all love the same sort of things that we do. So, you know, we hope that you all can become part of our Comic Con family. So, and become a con junkie just like us.
Yeah.
Amen.
So, Craig, can you give us a couple of highlights from some conventions that you have liked? I know you mentioned Carrie Fisher, but have there been any other highlights or anything that you want to touch on?
Tons. I can't say, there's probably been a highlight from every show I've been to every year. We'll start with Stan Lee's last East Coast appearance, which was Rhode Island 2016, which was my first Rhode Island. Thank you very much. We raced up there for Friday night because Friday night they were doing a special VIP signing, autographing, and photo op with him. I've got some video that I'll put up on that. That was an absolute blast. I would say, good or bad, waiting for Jeffrey Dean Morgan, also at Rhode Island.
So painful.
Ray and I have some PTSD from that one. There have been a lot of amazing other celebrity guests, but mostly I think I take away my meetings with comic book creators, comic book artists, meeting Chris Claremont, Walter and Weezy Simonson. You both know, after I met them, I literally broke down crying. That was almost a religious experience for me. So
amen. Nothing wrong with that.
By far, that's one of those peaks for sure. But yeah, artists and creators like Mark Silvestri, Tom King, Fabian Nikenza, so many out there. Those are probably that, and some really great Comic-Con panels. Having Michael Cudlitz come up on stage from the audience, peeling away this costume he was in, and coming up on stage as Abraham when they brought him onto the show was bananas. I think a highlight for all of us is after COVID, we were at New York Comic-Con and they premiered the Ghostbusters Afterlife. And I think that really caught us all off guard, that not only were we just getting a panel, that we were actually getting like the world premiere.
Yeah,
pretty much. We saw it before the whole planet.
Yeah, we all just sat there. What? Are you kidding? And they were like, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll leave it at that as some my most memorable moments.
Ray, what about you?
Wow. So I shared a lot of the moments that Craig just mentioned, right along with him. I was there with him for the VIP experience with Stan Lee, which was incredible. There was so I purchased a Stan Lee figure with an autograph for him, and then I purchased the second one, and they made a mistake, and I wound up getting both of them signed, and I actually paid for one signature, and I was like, so overwhelmed with what was going on that didn't even register for me until afterwards. So I'm like, wow, I got both of them signed and I only paid for one. And I mean, I wasn't trying to get over it. It was just, I was just so overwhelmed with the experience. That was a huge highlight for me, meeting Stan Lee. Like I took pictures with him. I got to talk to him for a few minutes. We went like behind this curtain. We were like the VIPs. That was a really fantastic VIP experience. Some VIP experiences are better than others. This was definitely like probably number one, maybe. I can't off the top of my head think about a big one, only because it's Stan Lee. He's like a legend. Right. And what Craig mentioned, the Ghostbusters movie, we were like, I got goosebumps talking about it right now. We were all like blown away. It was like the world premiere. We were the first audience. Anybody recording would have been escorted out and made to delete it. That type of deal. It was really fantastic. Other situations for me, when I was a kid, I saw The Exorcist. Anybody who knows about The Exorcist with Linda Blair, it is a frightening movie that still holds up today. If you want to not go to sleep,
watch it.
if horror movies like affect you, watch it. It scared the pants off of me. It was just frightening. And I purchased. I'm big into posters, by the way. So I purchased a Exorcist real movie poster, a huge movie poster, and Linda Blair showed up at HorrorCon. Was it, guys?
That was the Terracon.
Terracon.
That
Terror,
was,
terror.
another last minute spur of the moment show because both
Yes.
Linda Blair and Elvira.
And Elvira,
Let's
yes.
go.
Yeah, yeah. So we went over there, and I got to get her to autograph the poster, and I got to talk to her. And in future episodes, we'll give you some tips and tricks on how to get celebrities to talk to you, because she's not really a talker, but I'm not going to spoil it. In future episodes, we'll give you tips and tricks on how to get celebrities to talk to you. There are ways. So that was huge for me. Another situation was I'm sitting at the dining room table, just minding my business, and my wife turns to me from the sofa, "Hey, Lauren Cohen's going to be in Atlanta." And I'm saying it that way because she makes fun of me. Well, we go to so many cons, you buy so many things. And I'm like, dude, like, you're feeding the disease. You're feeding the addiction. And she knows how much I wanted to see her. And we went to Atlanta, and I got to meet her, and she was fantastic. She's the nicest person ever. And I got her to autograph some things. I took some pictures, and it was just fantastic. I mean, I could go on, like meeting William Shatner, and just meeting a bunch of the actors from Star Trek that were alive at the time, because some have passed since. Has just insane. I never thought I would be starstruck, and I was talking to Walter Koenig, and Erica starts making fun of me, like, dude, he's messing with you. Like, Walter Koenig started messing with me, and I didn't realize it because I was just like, oh, it's Chekhov. But no, it's been an amazing trip. I'm gonna pass it over to Erica. What about you, Erica? Give us some highlights.
So a big highlight for me is I am a huge Back to the Future fan, and in New York Comic Con in 2015, there was a Back to the Future 2 panel, and I was like, I'm gonna go to this, and I said, Ray, do you want to come? And he says, nah, you go and have fun.
I screwed up.
Okay.
Listen to your wife next time. I screwed up.
And so I went, and it was a cool panel. They were talking about it and talking some behind the scenes stuff. And at the end, as people were walking out of the panel, they handed us a prop replica of the Coca-Cola bottle that pops up from the counter in the movie. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So I went to Ray and I said, look what I got and you didn't get. And so
I was very upset. I was very upset.
He's still very upset.
Yep.
But to build on that, between 2024 and 2025, I was able to get a majority of the cast from the variety of the Back to the Future movies, including
who?
Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, Tom Wilson, Leah Thompson, to sign the bottle. And when we went to Chiller Theater Expo in October, there were a lot of other actors who were in Back to the Future, and I got my bottle signed, and it's almost completely full, and that's a thing that I'm proud of. Another highlight for me was New York Comic Con 2017, meeting Cary Elwes. He had just released a book entitled As You Wish, and I love, and he was one of my crushes growing up, and I happened to be cosplaying that year as the Evil Queen, and I was online fully in costume, and they called me up to have him sign, and he had his head down, and when he looked up, he says, oh my, you're beautiful. And I was like, oh my God, that was just as good as him saying As You Wish. Like, oh my God. So that was definitely a highlight for me. A couple of highlights really quickly are, taking photo ops and getting autographs with various people. Like Ray and I purchased a poster with characters of William Shatner, Walton Koenig, George Takei, and George Nichols as their characters standing up platforms. This was in Rhode Island, I think the first year that we went, and we had them all sign it, and that was an amazing thing just to have like childhood wishes being, fulfilled. And having the ability to do that was a great thing. Another, just to tag on to Ray and Craig, the Ghostbusters Afterlife panel was an amazing, amazing panel. And it was in the new space at Jacob Javits, which is a huge, 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 huge room. And it was filled all the way up. And everybody, like, having the room fall completely silent, just watching and taking it in, and everybody together in unison, hooting and hollering and cheering, and just sharing the emotions with that movie, because they did such a great job honoring the characters of that movie, and it was so moving, and it was so good, and they did it really, really well. And that was a great thing to experience in a room filled with how many, like, thousands of people.
There was a few thousand people.
About 1,500. Yeah, and it's
Yeah,
like
it was
being in a movie theater. That was just like a
it was bigger than a movie theater.
It is bigger than a movie theater. It holds more people.
Theater, but it's that movie theater like experience where
Right.
Everybody's seeing something, having that shared experience for the first
the same
time.
time.
So
Yeah,
it
was pretty amazing.
The time set to cheer, everybody said just going bananas.
Yeah. And one last thing for me, some highlights for me. I haven't done it in a while, but I do tend to cosplay a little bit. And I've cosplayed as the Evil Queen, as I mentioned, which Carrie Elways, fell in love with, and that's like the best. I also cosplayed as 1960s Batgirl, and that was awesome because they usually have like group meetups and group photo ops outside at whatever convention it is, and I happened to stumble across it, and I was like right in the center, because Batgirl was purple and like wearing this amazing costume, and I was like, somebody has to have this picture somewhere, and I happened to find it on Reddit, and I download it, and I have it. I'm like right in the center of that photo. And also cosplaying as Wonder Woman, but not as your traditional Wonder Woman, Victorian age Wonder Woman with all of this accoutrement, and it's very big and bulky, and the looks that I was getting traveling on the New York City subway system. It was very interesting, to say the least. But
different than the normal looks on the New York City subway.
Nobody looks at you in the subway. People don't care.
Except for that.
Now, if you're cosplaying, they're gonna look at you.
Yeah. And so those are a couple of the highlights that stick out for me. Mainly, just like to tag on with what everyone else is saying, meeting people and making friends, and being part of a bigger community, and just enjoying seeing the various, cosplays and personalities. And you can be online waiting for something, and you say to somebody in front of you, "Hey, I like that pin," and they turn around and say, "Well, you can have it," and you get a pin. Something very sweet and kind. And the Comic-Con community is a very accepting community, and that's one of the favorite things for me. Yeah.
100%.
So one last question for you guys: what are some things that you've learned from attending Comic-Cons? Really quick, it's one or two things.
Comfortable shoes, number one. Comfortable shoes and stretching and comfortable shoes. That's mine.
Yes. Right?
Wow. Eat something, drink, use the men's, ladies' room, whatever, the restroom. I'll keep it on me. I tend to get caught up on, I want to see this, I want to see that, I want to see this celebrity, I want to see this comic, this toy, this presentation, this panel, or this booth that has all these incredible things. And next thing you're like, rah, and wondering why you're like flipping out. And it's probably because you haven't eaten, which probably means you're a con junkie. But yeah, just taking a step back to like chill for a minute. Maybe we keep talking about New York Comic Con. Same thing applies in other cons. Stopping, going outside, just sitting down, taking a deep breath, and relaxing. I mean, there's more which we'll go into in our future videos. There's a lot more.
We'll have a lot to discuss.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot
a
to
lot
it.
of con prep, a
Yep.
lot of prep. It
A
takes
lot
a
of-
lot. It takes a village to attend a con.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's it for me. It's just stopping to take a break and make sure that I eat, use the men's room, blah blah blah.
Those I agree with those. Also, bring a collapsible stool so you can sit somewhere.
I was gonna say that, but
and also
the bigger, longer shows for sure,
Yeah.
for
And
sure.
also, most conventions have a quiet area, so if you need to decompress for a little bit, you can go in there and you can just totally decompress if you become overstimulated, and that's a good place to just catch your breath and collect yourself before going on to the next. So those are the few things that we have.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing a lot of shows in the upcoming year. So Craig, what do we have on the calendar for the next month or so?
Right, so just looking ahead here to May and June, coming up on the 16th and 17th of May is CradleCon at the Cradle of Aviation in Uniondale, Long Island. The end of the month, May 30th and 31st, at St. John's University in Queens is the Elite Comics 11 Expo. Jim Lee's going to be there, so look for buy tickets if you're in the area. I'll be attending a local one-day show called the Hot Flips Fan Fest in Massapequa, Long Island on June 7th. If you're a fan of Collectors Confessions, shout out to them. They're presenting Staten Island Comic Fest Sunday, June 14th in Staten Island. It's at a brewery, so if you like beer and comics, come on down. I'll be there. After that, we've got a couple of shows, July, August. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
Yep, that's for sure. That's for sure. So again, remember to like, subscribe, and comment. If you see us out in the wild, don't be afraid to stop us and strike up a conversation. We love that. We love meeting new friends and fellow con junkies. So as always, remember,
Collect.
connect.
Until next time, everybody have an amazing day.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye. This is Ray from CONJunkies. We'd like to dedicate our first video to Gary M., who's attended New York Comic Con with us from the early 2000s through last year. We'll miss you. You'll always be in our thoughts. We'll have some images of him cosplaying as Jason, as he always did. And some music will be playing that music that he liked. So we're gonna keep it as a celebration of his memory. And we'll miss you, Gary.